My name is Ben and welcome to the Cholinergic website. I'm the guy who started this website, and I'm also the author of the book Cholinergic Urticaria, A Guide to Chronic Heat Hives. And in this video, I just want to go over some of the basics about cholinergic urticaria, because maybe you've just been recently diagnosed, or maybe you've stumbled upon this site after trying to search your symptoms, all these crazy, weird, itchy, prickly stuff that's going on with your body. And in this video, I'm going to try to get you up to speed and tell you some basic information about how you can both use the site and how you can navigate through this new medical condition you may be facing. So let's get started with this short presentation. You probably can't read this, but this is mostly just to help me, okay? So first of all, what is cholinergic urticaria? Cholinergic urticaria is just a type of physical heat hives. And basically, doctors and researchers have categorized hives into different types and different categories, and this is the type of physical urticaria, which just means that it's a type of hives that happens in response to some physical stimulus. And with this, it's heat. That's what the stimulus is. It's when your body becomes so hot that basically when you go to sweat, instead of sweating, you have a hives reaction. And it's not very fun. You can get itchy and prickly, and every time you are doing some physical activity, or maybe you're sitting in a hot car or something like that, you can have a reaction. There's lots of different types of hives, conditions, and even physical types of hives. For example, there's one called aquagenic urticaria or water urticaria, and in that case, when someone just gets water on their skin, just basic contact from a shower, or as they sweat or cry or something, that water contact actually causes them to break out in hives in the same area. Much like this condition, except with us, it's just when our bodies become hot. Now, it can be caused by active or passive heating, and all that means is active heating is like if you're exercising or playing some sport or something, when you get hot, it happens. Or passive heating, which again, if you're just sitting in a car, if you walk into a sauna or hot room, you may notice that even though you're not doing anything, the heat itself will make you have a reaction. Where does it get its crazy name, cholinergic urticaria? Well, basically cholinergic just means related to acetylcholine. That's a type of neurotransmitter that's involved in this reaction. And hives just means, urticaria just means hives. That's just the medical term for hives. This condition can affect all ages. We've had people on the forum with children as young as 1 or 2 years old, maybe even a little younger. There have been people 50, 60, 70, so it affects people of all ages. It most commonly develops when people are in their teenage years, late teens, early 20s. That's the most common time that it seems to develop, but it can happen anytime. It can happen to all races and skin color types and so forth. So Black, Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic, and everything in between. It can happen to everyone. It happens worldwide. It can happen to both sexes, so male and female, although it does seem to be a little more common in the men. And it can come and go throughout the years. It's not a set thing. It's a really peculiar type of hives, as most hives are, and it kind of has a mind of its own. It can come and go. You may have it for decades. You may have it on and off for a few years. You may have it only a few months and it goes away. It's just totally random. There is one study where the average duration was 7.5 years, I think it was. But that is, again, that's not a constant number. It's totally different for everyone. And it can be seasonal as well, which means that during the winter time, you may notice, hey, I'm having horrible reactions, but then during the summer, you may sweat and it goes away and you're fine, but it comes back again in the winter. So for some people, it's seasonal, some people it's year-round. It's not life-threatening in most cases, which is good. There's been a couple of cases where it maybe was associated with a terminal condition, but for the average person, it's not life-threatening. If you're worried, you can always get a checkup to check out your blood levels and so forth, but another time it can be life-threatening is if you actually have an anaphylactic reaction, which is rare, and I'll talk about that a little later. Or if you're trying to scratch yourself while driving, that might not be safe, so don't do that. But what sets off a reaction? Okay, you probably already know the answer to that, but it's heat, like I said before, and anything you do that's hot or that makes your body become hot to the point of sweating. So if you're outside playing in the sun, running around, doing anything like that, you can have a reaction. Even diet, you got to watch out for certain foods because they can make you have a reaction. For example, let's say you have something vinegary or acidic, that can make your body kind of hot and flushed, and that can cause you to start getting itchy and prickly. and or like something spicy like jalapenos or something. And so emotions are another thing. If you're laughing at a video really hard, like maybe you're laughing at this video because I mess up or something, you can have a hives reaction. Or if you're embarrassed or have some kind of strong emotional response. So physical exercise, emotions, passive heating, or diet can cause you to start having that itchy, prickly sensation. What's going on in your body when a reaction happens? Because that's one thing that always bothered me. I would think to myself, what is happening? Well, as far as we know, what seems to be happening is the hypothalamus in your brain is like a thermostat. It controls several things in your body and tries to keep it in this constant state. They call that homeostasis. And what happens is when your body becomes too warm, the thermostat, the hypothalamus, says, okay, we need to cool the body down. So it will send signals down to the sweat glands through neurotransmitters to tell the body to sweat. When that happens, when that neurotransmitter is released at the sweat gland area, that acetylcholine, for some reason, things go wrong. And instead of sweating, you get that itchy, prickly hive sensation. So in other words, something goes wrong in the sweating process, and that's why you have that condition. Okay, now, what are some of the signs and symptoms of this condition? Again, if you're suffering with this, you may already have an idea, but first of all, you can get pinpoint hives. And first, let me just say that not everyone has all these symptoms that I'm about to mention, but most people, this is the average symptoms. But pinpoint hives, which is where you'll get little dots, and they can occur anywhere on your body. They can be as small as literally a pinpoint, or as large as, say, 1/4 of an inch, or about the size of a pencil eraser. That's usually the range of size they are, and it can vary. Another symptom is extreme itching and burning. And again, not everyone has that. They're the lucky ones. So if you're not itching and burning, you're lucky. But itching and burning is by far, to me, the worst part of this condition, because it can be very intense. It's like you're being pricked with needles, and it itches and stings kind of at the same time. It's a really bizarre sensation. I'd never felt anything like it before I began having these reactions when I was 18 years old. But it just feels like you're being attacked by fire ants or something. Flushing is another thing that you can experience, and that's when your skin becomes really red looking, and it usually happens in the area where you're having a reaction the worst, and it can even become a little warm to the touch. You can have wheals, which are just raised areas of scratch marks on you. You can have a feeling of faintness after the reaction. Sometimes that happens. You may have reduced sweating, and you may have noticed that when you work out or do something else, rather than sweat, you have this reaction. And with a lot of people, they have a difficult time. And the reduced sweating is sometimes called hypohidrosis or anhidrosis if you can't sweat at all. And like I said, anaphylactic shock, that's where you have such a severe reaction that your throat can begin to swell shut, and that's serious business. Now, most people don't have that reaction. That's relatively rare, but you can have that reaction. And if you want to seek medical attention immediately if you ever notice that happens. These symptoms usually come on pretty quickly once you get hot. You'll notice that your body begins to, with me, it would be like a little prickle or sting in a bunch of random places. The next thing, you just want to peel your skin off and take your clothes off, or jump in a cold shower or something to make the reaction stop. Another thing I should probably mention is that if you have this type of condition, it's not uncommon that you may have other allergies or other type of hives condition. There are some people who have, for example, both cold urticaria and cholinergic urticaria. And so they get hives when they get cold, they get hives when they get hot. And you might have food allergies, hay fever, eczema, or other conditions. It's not uncommon at all to have a couple different allergic things going on. All right, so what causes this to happen in people? Why do people even develop this medical condition? Well, we don't really know for sure. There's been a lot of research articles. I don't even know the number I have on my computer, but I have several research articles that I've saved in PDF format through the years. But there are a few schools of thought of how this condition may come about, and they tend to classify. There's a few studies that have tried to classify individuals with this condition into different subsets. So in other words, there may be different types of cholinergic urticaria symptoms and groups out there. The first one is sweat allergy. They think that they've done studies, and some people actually have, when they extract their sweat serum and they'll inject it back in, and they notice a positive reaction to that. And so that some people kind of hypothesize that it's a sweat allergy in some groups. Another one could be there's acetylcholine issues. And one research article that I read that was pretty interesting talked about how there may not be, when the acetylcholine is released and it's supposed to activate those sweat glands, well, it's supposed to be recaptured, and it may not be properly recaptured in people with this disorder sometimes, and it overspills in a sense and causes the breakdown of the mast cells in the area, which then releases the histamine, which is what causes you to get all itchy and prickly. Another hypothesis is that some people have actual sweat gland deformity in a sense, or that there's an obstruction there, or there's a blockage there, and that again, that's one school of thought that maybe in some people it showed that case. Other articles have suggested that most people with this condition have fine sweat glands, so I don't know. Idiopathic is another term they'll slap on it, and that just means we don't know what causes it in some groups of people. And then anhidrosis, that's where again the reduced sweating or eliminated sweating, they've noticed that is an issue with some people, and so they've clumped that into one of the possible subsets. And those are some of the schools of thought about it. They don't really know for sure. I think research will be ongoing in the future. There's not a lot of research about it because it's not like cancer or something. Okay, it goes away and it can make your life miserable, but there's not this sense of urgency to study it. But they do find some information that's useful here and there and pass that on. Okay, what do you do to cure or treat this condition? If you have this, that's the first thing you probably want to know. What is going on and how can I make it go away? Well, there's no cure exactly in the sense that you can just walk into a doctor's office and they write you a prescription, you take a few pills and you're done. That doesn't happen. I wish that happened, but that doesn't happen. Instead, what you're going to look at is you're going to look at treatment options, and you're going to begin chipping away and talking to your doctor about it and trying different things and see what works best for you. And there are a lot of different treatment options out there. What works for one person will not work for another person with this disorder, so it varies a lot. And basically, the best advice I can give you is to work with the doctor and just begin examining the site and look at the video I created on treatments and so forth, and just begin trying things one at a time. And you're just going to take time, but you can eventually find something that helps you. Some of the common things that you may be prescribed is antihistamines, like Allegra and Zyrtec are ones that are over the counter. You can also get prescription-based antihistamines, but they can help. Some people they help a lot, some people they only help a little. Sweat therapy, believe it or not, that's where you actually try to push through a reaction until your body eventually sweats. And that's a therapy that a lot of people use. It's not safe for everyone, and there's definitely some precautions you want to take before you do that. You want to make sure your doctor approves, that you have an EpiPen and someone there with you just in case something bad happens. But sweat therapy is something that people use. Beta blockers, anabolic steroids, believe it or not, there's been some research on that. It sometimes helps a little, but it's not a complete cure. UVB light therapy, that's where they'll take these almost like tanning bed bulbs, but they're different, and just blast you with UVB light. Obviously, there's side effects and risks with all these treatments, so you definitely want to think of that before you do it. Some people have had, a couple people here and there have had thyroid issues, either underactive or overactive thyroid, and by taking medication, they've been able to help that. And diet, that's what worked for me. And there's been other people on the forum. For example, one person cut out gluten and have noticed that their hives have got dramatically better. Another person has cut out some things that, I think it was nuts and a couple things that were bothering them that they didn't even realize, and they cut them out, and it's helped their hives dramatically. And with me, that's what cured mine. And what I had to do was I went through basically allergy elimination diets, and I have a whole video and I talk about that in the book, but I went through and I found out that a lot of the foods I was eating that I've eaten my whole life, suddenly my body just didn't agree with them very much. My immune system was having a response to them. And by cutting out and going on a very strict diet, and I take probiotics, I do a few other things too. I've created a video about my cure, so you can watch that, but that's what helped me. And that just scratches the surface. There's a lot of different things that people do that have given them back their quality of life. A lot of medications I haven't mentioned here. Those are probably the most common that you'll see here and there on the forum. But definitely take a look at the website and read some articles, and you'll get some better ideas about where to begin with that. Now that I've gone through all this stuff and you know some information about this disorder, I want to give you some tips on how you can use this site. First of all, I'm not a doctor. I want to make that clear up front, and this site is not intended to be medical advice. Basically, my goal for this site is that I can create a platform where I've shared my experience and what works for me, and I've written a lot about it, and other people have very graciously came onto the forum and they've shared their experiences and they've shared what's worked for them, what hasn't worked, and some people have shared some funny stories and so forth. And that's what this site's about. It's about giving you information that you can use, take to your doctor and say, well, this one person tried this and it helped them. Would it be safe for me? What are the side effects and so forth? And that's what this site's about. So that's the one thing I want to tell you about up front. Secondly, I want to tell you that you can use the search bar at the site, and that's really helpful. Let's say, for example, you hear this thing about sweat therapy. You're like, what's that about? Well, when you go up there to the search bar and enter that in, you're going to see articles written by me and other people on the forum, and you can read and kind of find out what's going on with the whole sweat therapy. What are some experiences people have had with that? How have they gone about it, and so forth. So use the search feature if you can. Next, I've created a section on the site called Cholinergic Urticaria Videos. And if you go to the top menu, I think it's the first link, it drops down and it's one of the links down there. And if you click that, it takes you to a page and it has all my videos listed on the site and on my YouTube channel, so that you can see what each video is about, and you can find what you're interested or what you want to know most about. And you can watch these videos where basically I just sit in a chair, kind of like I'm doing now, and I just tell you information about different topics, different things I've learned myself as both the sufferer and the main editor and web servant of this site. Next, there is an email subscription on the site, and this is completely free to sign up for. You can cancel it at any time. And basically what will happen if you sign up is that every time me or someone else makes a post on the forum, it will go through and email you and let you know what it is, and you can click the link in the email and go to the forum and read the post. Or you can sign up for the comments too, which is helpful because someone will write a post on the forum like, hey, does this help? Or what's your experience with this? And sometimes members will come on and they'll just leave their experience with it. And so you can sign up and you can get both of those to your email, and you can control how often those emails come to you as well. And you can unsubscribe at any time. But that's helpful for those of you who are suffering really bad and you're looking for solutions and you want to know the latest information that people write about it. Another tip that I could suggest is that if you want to share your experience or ask a question and you've already searched and you don't see it, or if you just want to come to the forum and say, hey, and just say, this is what's happened to me and this is what I've tried and it worked and this didn't work, go ahead and come on the forum. That's what it's there for. It's totally free. You don't have to register for an account. I've tried to make it as simple as possible for people to just go on and leave their experience and say hey to everyone. So you can do that and take advantage of all that there is to offer. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Again, you can check the book if you want the condensed version of the website and a lot more information than what I've talked about in this video. This video is just a quick overview. Or you can watch the videos on my YouTube channel and search that on my website for quick links to that. Or you can just search the website itself for a lot of great things that other members have contributed and learn some of those tips. So thank you so much for watching and have a great day.